Speak up.
So we're Team Melon, represent. Our major themes were education. Everybody agreed that they want children around here and learning about nature and things like that. We have kids and people, and everybody's happy when they're here, relaxed. They're just enjoying being one with nature, sort of. A big thing was restoration of what's already here, to restore what has been changed since this whole thing started. Everybody wanted to preserve beauty. Somebody brought up a point of keeping the Sandias, this beautiful view we have of our mountains, that they want to keep that here. So any buildings that would go up or anything like that would still not obstruct the beautiful view that we have. We still want the wetlands, of course. It'd be great to see all the wildlife that would come along with the wetlands, the birds and the insects and the foxes and all that kind of thing. And we wanted to also keep what exists here now to just stay here. Like the people that live around here, we're not going to build something that would flood their homes or stuff like that, to keep them where they are and not destroy them and what they have already established here around this refuge. This is our beautiful hot air balloon view of what this is going to look like. We wanted the rail runner station, this is that with the train tracks. Thought that might be a great idea to definitely keep the rail runner running through here. We have a trail from there to our visitor center, and then we have a bridge across this levee to the river to look around there. This is kind of what we thought. It's not really a whole group consensus, but yeah, we wanted to make sure that this and the river and the bosque were connected still together. And we have some, birds and our fox, little tiny fox, and some people around the picnic tables, private areas for people to learn and relax and just enjoy what we have here in New Mexico. So, if anybody else wants to say anything?
I'd just like to point out the convergence of some of the ideas we've already talked about. Almost all the groups are talking about some of the same thing. You just mentioned the connection to the river. And this is a little drawing I worked on with Vern Huser, who's had to leave a little bit ago. But the connection to the river through some kind of a pedestrian bridge. We have a water expert in the legal field in our group, and she had mentioned the idea of possibly actually having the river come through here in some fashion. Now, this was the long shot dream, right? But we talked a little bit, and these things can be done in some fairly obscure ways, legally and technically, possibly through some kind of a diversion off of the drain. There are other water rights here, so the water issues are complicated, but the restoration aspect to restore the bosque and the wetlands that are the major missing ecological component of the Middle Rio Grande Valley now was a major theme. Education, of course, has been a major theme. The visitor center, this one got to be 2 stories so we could preserve the views of the Sandias and have views out across this area. The idea of possibly an oxbow marsh is just a representation of how the marshes could be moved with water moving through the whole system and then back into the river. Playas, wet meadows, meadows that are ephemeral that become saccatone meadows when it's dry, and the saltgrass, muley, and juncus meadows when it's wetter. And of course, representation of patches of bosque throughout, native species, to replace the exotics that we see right there, the elm trees.
I don't really have much to say except yours
There's
represented
also
we
we also talked about the rail runner connection, public transportation, respect for the traditional agriculture here, possibly a little garden area here, different levels of privacy for the wildlife. For nesting birds, maybe some very private areas, some other areas that you could only access through fairly small trails, other areas that are more accessible, bicycles. We didn't talk about cars, but I think that's it's certainly a major asset at Bosque del Apache. Without the loop trails, there would be a lot of people who wouldn't be able to see it.
But this is a smaller place.
Pardon me?
It's a much smaller place.
This is a much smaller place. Yeah.
Maybe
So they can walk.
perimeter access.
Well, or just a shorter loop up towards 2nd Street. I mean, the planners will figure that stuff out.
Yay!